Welcome to the Young, Dumb, and in Love podcast, where we talk about all things marriage.
Our goal is to help equip you to have a marriage that is better than you have ever imagined by sharing real-life experiences, getting into the nitty-gritty, and sharing practical ways you can start today. Let's dive in. First of all, don't tell me how to start. Okay? Thank you very much. I'm going to start however I feel like starting.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I am not usually one to get embarrassed. Like, I think when you're married to someone long enough who just like is a little like who can say embarrassing stories, I'm just kind of used to you like telling an embarrassing story and I laugh. And I can do embarrassing things too. Your smile right now though? Okay, so a couple weeks ago we're at a party and Julian just decides he's going to start telling a story, which I'm like, okay. Telling a story about a Christmas Eve service and they sang Mary Did You Know? And I'm going to make long story short, but like basically a grown man was like representing baby Jesus. It was very awkward. But Julian's telling the story and everyone's laughing. Oh my gosh, that really happened. This was a long time ago. And then Julian goes, yeah, then the guy died. And I am like, you know when you, wives, you know when you're like, make it stop. Like, make it stop. But I'm trying to be honoring to my husband, but I am like literally like kicking, grabbing. I'm like, make it stop. Make it stop. I'm like, please. And everyone's face goes like this. So they're laughing. Ah! And then they're all, because they're uncomfortable. Because Julian's like, oh yeah, and then the guy died. And we're all like, what? Now we can't laugh because this poor guy died. Anyway, Julian, that story, please never tell it again. And he did. You just can't stop though. The problem, and I love, this is all in love. Julian has this tendency to like, it's almost like if he went to the top of a hill and started rolling down the hill, he just can't stop. It just keeps going. And I'm like, make it. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to go now. So we'll see if we ever get invited back to a party after that story. But
that was the moment where I thought, oh my gosh, I am turning into my father.
Yeah, he was like, I'm just like my dad. But anyway, also, if you caught the pictures that we posted yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
On Instagram.
No, listen.
You could like put some up too, but
threw up a couple of these pictures and
wow. It's true what they say, love is
say
blind. I'm just kidding.
Every DM we got,
every year Julian gained like a lot of weight.
Yeah, every DM we got was like, oh my gosh, you are not even the same person. I'm like, I know.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried so hard to find something to make fun of Brittany, and
no, there's definitely some out there. Like the one time I went and I got my hair cut, ladies.
Yes.
Listen, I was trying to be, this was a long time ago, 15 years ago, I guess. We had only been married a couple years, trying to save money. So I'm like, I'm going to go to this school, get my hair cut. And it just was a disaster all around. And I literally left there with hair, like these pieces. That's why I won't get my hair cut. So you're like, wow, her hair is so long. It's because I'm
terrified.
Scarred for life.
Scarred
for several reasons, actually.
Yeah.
But I got my hair cut and the pieces were this long, right here. This long. Yeah. So it's taken me this long just to grow them out. So now I'm absolutely terrified too. I cried when I left. But anyway.
Why are you, what's the other reason you're scarred?
Oh, that was actually before that time.
Yeah.
I got my hair cut. I've always had pretty long hair.
This is when the young, dumb, but in love comes into
Very
play.
Dumb. But I went and I got my hair cut. I was so excited.
She had really long hair before that.
It wasn't this long, but I had this really like trendy, cool gal that was doing my hair back then when I was a teenager, like older teenager. And I went and I got my hair cut and I was so excited. I got like really like cute, like short when it was like really popular to get really super short hair. And then those like little, I'm aging myself so much. Those like peekaboo, like dark spots, you know? So then I got like these like black like pieces underneath and they were so cute. I was so excited. And then we had like young adults at church. And so like I went and Julian was there and we were dating. I want to say we had been dating a few months maybe.
Yeah.
And I walk in and I'm like, how do you like my hair? And in front of people, he's like, I liked it better long. Like, do you like literally what I mean, I still married you. Like, what is wrong with me?
At least I was honest. You can give me that. I was honest.
I will give you that. But honestly, like take take note, men. Do not say that. Like, literally don't. That is so rude. Okay, I remember, and plus I was like 17, 18. I remember being so insecure after that. So that's on you. Anyway, I'm over it. But I haven't really cut my hair. Well, I did get my hair cut that one time, but I have not had short hair since then.
Nope.
Have not had short hair.
Nope. Scarred for life.
Absolutely will not cut my hair.
Scarred for life.
So it's Julian's fault. But anyway.
But it worked. So now she has long hair all the time. So.
You're so funny. Anyway, we are.
There's a little book that we're starting. That's little things that
book.
Julian says.
Oh my gosh,
that
you
he
guys!
should never
Seriously,
say.
he said the thing too about Julian is a couple things. One, Julian's like very, very pure of heart. Like he just doesn't like. I don't know. He just doesn't think things like that a lot of us maybe think, you know? So he'll say something and it really isn't meant to be like inappropriate or rude or inconsiderate, but it is, but not intentional. So then you're like, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. And he's like, what? I don't understand.
My honesty comes out in the worst times.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's like, it's innocent. So, you know, anyway, yes, honestly, I wish, and I feel like we need to figure out a way to do this. And so like, I would love to hear from the people, but it's our day-to-day life that I think people would find very like interesting. It's just sometimes hard to
We'll get better.
it
We'll get better at stories and stuff.
because we honestly, it's a journey. It's a journey.
Oh, it's a journey. That's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
What are we talking about today?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's been the
almost
Brittany show
Christmas.
for a while because I've been sick.
So much.
Like so sick.
So if you are the praying kind, pray for Julian.
Like my lungs and my voice. And
Yeah.
you could probably still hear it in my voice
Well,
still.
the bummer is he finally got some medicine from the doctor
Yeah.
to clear out what they thought was probably like bronchitis, and then literally got hit with whatever the like respiratory
wave,
thing is
yeah.
going around right now.
So bad.
So, and I
up
got it a
along.
little bit, but obviously not even close. So he kind of just still doesn't really have a lot of a voice for the last like month. So it's the Brittany show. So if you're sick of me, well, sorry.
I'm sorry. I do my best to talk. I can only talk for so long before it like gives out on me right
Yeah.
here too.
Well, and I tell you all the time, like when I'm looking at our Instagram, like, cause I don't do like a lot of our other platforms like TikTok and stuff. I'm not on there. So like, I only really look at Instagram and I'm like, it's literally me all the time. And that's annoying to me,
Sorry.
but it
Has to
is
be.
what it is. So if you're annoyed by me too, like, no, you're me too.
You can move on.
It's me too. Anyway, no, I wanted to talk about, and I don't really have any like formal notes or anything, but just really talking about, obviously we're coming for the end of the year and Christmas is coming up. It's busy, but really taking a moment in the next, couple weeks
Yep.
to think of the things or a thing that you need to leave behind in 2023 to be able to move forward and have your best marriage. Why are you smiling?
I'm just looking at you. You're so beautiful. Of course, I'm going to smile when I'm looking at you. You want me to look mad? Okay.
No.
I'm going to look
But
mad now.
anyway, just as I was thinking through like, okay, what are things that or something that you're like, gosh, I need to stop doing that or stop having this bitter feeling. Maybe it's, so for example, maybe it's bitterness. Like I need to leave that bitterness behind in my marriage because it's not serving my marriage or me. So really like, what do you need? This is, I guess, to make questions.
Yeah.
What do I need to leave behind in 2023? Whether that is pertaining to something, it could be twofold, something in your personal, like yourself. What does Brittany need to leave behind? What does Julian need to leave behind? One.
Yep.
And two, like, what do I need to leave behind so that my marriage can thrive? So that could be bitterness, unforgiveness, a negative attitude, maybe something like that you've been doing that's been maybe tempting you or causing you to maybe have like thoughts of being unfaithful. And so what does that look like? So
Yeah.
that's kind of my question.
Well, and one of the best things that you can do to be able to move on from one of those things is, so no matter what it is, no matter what's holding you back or the thing you want to let go of, the best thing for you to do is just being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And then being honest with your spouse, and
Yeah.
your spouse is there to be, you're supposed to be a team. You're supposed to be doing this together. And so If you ever want to move on from something that is holding you back, if you're struggling from something, you have to say it out loud and you have to have the conversation. If you never have the conversation and you bottle it up and you feel like you can do it on your own, and you never have, maybe you're a guy and you never have other guys to talk to keep you accountable, to walk you through, to help you through it, or being honest with your wife, whatever. If you don't actually have the conversation, being able to let go of those things to move forward is going to be impossible, because you can't do it on your own. As much as you want to, you're going to have a much harder time doing it on your own than doing it with somebody pushing you along, holding you accountable, calling you, talking to you, texting you, whatever you need to do to help you move forward. So as we're talking about this, as you're thinking about those things that you're dealing with that you want to let go, it's important that you have someone or somebody to talk to and really hash this out with.
Yeah. Well, and I think, it's going to look different for every spouse, but it could be more something more on the side of, wow, I need to let this go.
Yeah.
Like, like if I could move past this, this insecurity I have or this struggle I have, it would help to serve my marriage better. Or maybe it's super marriage specific, so it's kind of just like taking that time to reflect. What do I need to leave behind? And think of it like this, like something that's been weighing heavy on you. This is going to take like that reflection of like, what is weighing heavy on me? What is making me feel like I can't move forward in my life, in my marriage, as a mother, as a father, whatever that looks like? What is that for you? And it's going to be different. And maybe it's a couple of different things. But what do I need to leave behind so that I can thrive, so that my marriage can thrive, so that my life can thrive, because, and I was thinking about this morning, kind of this secondary question to that is, if my life looks the same a year from now, so say, let's look forward to December 2024, I'm about to go into 2025. So really projecting out there, will I be happy and feel like I'm thriving if my life looks exactly the same a year from now?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a tough question to ask yourself, and sometimes takes like some real, like, okay, like what do I need to change, and yeah.
Self-reflection.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, what some of the best evaluation is looking in the mirror, so how do you, if you,
Man in the mirror.
yes,
Woo!
ma'am, sing it, girl, sing it.
Asking to make
Yes.
a change.
Yeah, keep going.
No, I can't really, like, I'm trying to.
Come on, Michael.
Anyway, yes.
But looking in the mirror, like that's how you're going to be able to discover what's going on in your life, where you're at. And you hit it right on the nose. If you look at a year from now and you're exactly the same where you are today, are you going to be happy with that? I would say most people would say no.
Yeah.
Most people would say, if I look at my life right now, do I want to be here 1 year from now? Probably not. Most people are going to want to be way further
Some sort
past
of growth.
that, And so how do we, so obviously we see that and we think about that and we see like, okay, I want to be different in a year from now.
Yeah.
How do we get there? What do we need to do to be able to get there?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think too, like, if you are like, actually in a year, if my life looks the same, then I will be happy. Like, that's amazing. So I'm not saying like, go look for problems that don't exist.
For sure.
But I think there's always something we can improve on. Like, okay, I'm going to do this better next year. Maybe it's like be more intentional with, your alone time, like being able to like, maybe you want to get up and get in the word every day or work out more. Like, so it's all of those things. But like you said, how do we get there? Well, one, of course, you identify it. Like, what is it? Whatever that is, is it, and you could even, take a time, like go for a walk. Like my thing is I love walking, and that's my best thinking. I always joke like I at least get 1 hour of good thinking a day, but a lot of times movement, your mind follows.
Yeah,
for me,
it's true.
for my personality.
It's very true.
When I'm moving, my mind functions better. That's my personality. So go ahead and diagnose me in the comments if you want to, but my mind works better through movement. And So first it's identifying what it is. Maybe you want to go sit at a coffee shop or take some time to yourself and just sit in quiet and go, what is it that I want to leave behind or change or grow in? So what do I want to leave behind or what do I want to grow in? These could be two different things. I want to leave this behind, but I want to grow in this area. I want to be more intentional with these things, right? So maybe you want to be more intentional with your spiritual life, maybe your physical health, your mental health. Maybe you want to be more intentional with your, I don't know, your spouse, you're dating your spouse like us, like we probably got like an F on our date nights this year.
Yep.
So for us going into next year, like we're just going to be honest with you. That'll be something we're like, we need to be better at date nights. But, so that's what I would say is sit down and identify what it is that you want in a year and what you need to leave behind.
For sure. That's great.
Thanks.
So practical.
Yeah.
So I identify it.
Yeah.
What's a good way to like actually identify it and make it so that I can make a difference in my life? Because like saying it, okay, I need to get better at this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If I leave it there,
that doesn't go anywhere.
That doesn't really do much 100%, for me.
100%. Yeah.
What do I do? Like, how do I really make that turn into something?
Yeah. Well, I think what we'll do is if you can, because you do all the back end stuff, but if you could like post, remember how last year we did like the vision episode, and I think we did one this year too, and even have like the vision like
breakdown,
workbook or whatever. So put those in the comment or the show notes. And so go in the show notes. Julianne will put those other episodes. Plus you can download like the vision worksheet, which will at least kind of help identify it. But I would say always identify and then keep digging is kind of what I would recommend. So I'm trying to think like, because this is a new thought for me, but I'm going to try to think of it on the fly. So
That's
here
great.
we go. So for example, I want to be more consistent in some things, right? So say yours is like, okay, I want to be more consistent in whatever it is for you. I'm trying to think of one. You want to put me on the spot?
Say working out. Like just say, because working out is like a very general
Okay,
thing.
so we're gonna do yours then.
Great.
Okay. So Julian, one of your goals for 2024 is to be more consistent working out.
Yeah.
So if you just say I'm going to be more consistent working out, what's that going to do for you?
Yeah,
Nothing.
nothing.
Right? Because great. So I would say you need to say, okay, why, first of all, why? Because why always helps you identify the what. Like if I know I want to work out because I want to be more physically fit. I want to be able to keep up with my kids. I want to be here longer. I want to have a 6-pack. So when I'm sitting next to my pool, the water just ripples
and
down
Top
my
Gun
abs.
just plays in the background.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been telling Brittany I'm going to have a 6-pack again since
For 17 years.
Anyway, so let's keep workshopping this. Okay, so Julianne wants to be more like work out more. So now you need to make a plan. When are you going to work out?
Okay.
So what days of the week, what time are you going to work out? And then you're scheduling that into your life. Because if you just put it out in the air, like, oh, I'm going to do this, you're not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and if you've read anything about like, and I'm going to leave this book in there because it's not like a Christian book, but it's about habits and habit stacking and how to identify habits. It's a really good book that I've read twice. But, so one, you're going to say, what time of day am I going to work out? And then what kind of workouts am I going to do? Right. And then you're going to plan them in your schedule.
Yeah.
Because if you don't schedule it, it doesn't happen. Right. And so I know that's one of the things I've learned a lot about myself is like, I have to schedule it as if it's like, it becomes a priority because what's on your calendar is a priority. Right. And then you need to get accountable. Like if I don't do this, then what is it? And I'm not saying punishment, but accountability. So there's a difference. Punishment is, negative shame, but accountability is positive and, like if you want something, you're going to be willing to make yourself accountable to it, And so, So Julian, what would you say to any of that?
Well, I mean, it's hard for sure.
I feel like this is still the Britney show.
You have to think like, okay, so someone who, like me, I've had good stints of working out, right? I've had good moments where I was getting up at 6 a.m. every single day and going into working out and, seeing the
Yeah.
difference, and I wasn't getting as sore as I used to. And then suddenly it just like ends. Like, why does it
Why?
end? So I've been able to establish the healthy habits,
Right.
but why does the habit die in the middle of success?
I feel like you're like interviewing me like I'm some sort of professional.
Well, I'm asking you these questions.
Okay, so I am actually a very consistent person.
That's why I'm asking you.
Like in my physical fitness, I do the same thing. I'm very consistent, but I also think a lot of that is personality. My
sure.
personality is very addictive and very much I thrive in structure. I could eat the same thing, do the same thing, go the same places every day for the rest of my
And
life.
I'm the complete opposite of that.
And that's, I think, part of it. So a lot of that's going to do with your personality.
Yeah.
Right. And here's the bottom line. You will do whatever you actually want to do. Like you will do it. So if you decide like, I'm going to work out, it's really up to you. Like, and I think that's the thing is you just sometimes have to do it even though you don't actually want to do it. You will do whatever you tell yourself to do.
Yeah.
And I realize I'm like a disciplined person. People are like, whatever, as they're like sitting on the couch going like, she's so annoying. I get it. Cause I definitely am annoying in that way.
Yeah.
Julian's like, yeah, totally.
For sure.
Because like I'll get up in the summer here in Arizona cause it's 110 degrees during the day. I'll get up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning and work out outside because I get that. But anyway, kind of to go back to it, you identify it and then you have to really get very specific about it. Like not just, I'm going to work out.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, when, where, with who, how, who's going to hold you accountable? And then what are you going to do when you don't do it? Like maybe and I'm not saying like punishment. I'm not a big like believer in like punishing, but like maybe it's a reward for the times you do, or maybe you're like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then, whatever, like I'm going to have my wife hold me accountable or my friends or whatever it is. So that's working out, but it could be any number of things. Like let's workshop a different idea. Say what if someone wants to do something else?
They want to
Maybe more on like a spiritual /
They want to read one book a month for the whole entire year.
Great. So then what would they do? Schedule it in or be really intentional. So maybe you would find those 12 books. You're going to go ahead and get those 12 books. You're going to ask someone else if they want to
join in with you.
And I think too, this is the other thing. And if you read the book about habits is it's really about stacking habits. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times we want to go from here, like, okay, right now, maybe this is where I'm at with like my physical fitness or my spiritual health or whatever. And they want to go from here to here, just like this. And they just want it to like, vroom, super easy. That was amazing. But the bottom line is we all know that most journeys aren't like that. That's the few, not the many.
Yeah.
Like it's usually very much like, and that's more of a normal.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like if you can learn to stack your wins and your habits and just a little bit at a time and be consistent, you'll get to here. There's not enough room for me to be a hand talker with this microphone. I'm going to need to get like a little earpiece microphone, but you will get here, but you have to essentially stack the wins. You know what I mean? And so in the, when you're talking about that, like, when they say, like in this book, if you read it, which I kind of take this from this, but you say you're like, okay, I want to work out every morning. They say, this might seem very like childlike, but you're going to take your clothes and you're going to lay them the first place you go in the morning. You're going to pick out your clothes and you're going to lay them there in the morning because you want to make it whatever you're going to do as easy as possible so that you can't talk yourself out of it. You know what I mean? So maybe you're going to put your clothes right where you go when you wake up. Or if you want to it makes it sound very elementary, but a lot of times these good habits are really elementary or the things you want to change. It's just a matter of doing it,
Yeah. Yeah. Setting yourself up.
So, for
beforehand.
success. Yeah. So I would say, kind of to come back to it so I don't like go too far off, but identify them.
Yep.
And then what else did I say? Identify, get yourself accountable, and then really get down to the root of it, what you're doing. You know, don't just say, I'm going to get healthy in 2024.
Yeah,
What does
that's too
healthy
broad.
mean?
That's too broad,
You know,
yeah.
so really narrowing it down to the, like all the way down, and then start making action steps from that place.
Gotcha.
Like, I'm going to work out. Okay, how many days a week am I going to work out? How long am I going to work out for? Where am I going to work out?
Yeah.
You know, am I going to have anyone else work out with me?
And you definitely need to stack working out. I mean, it's one of those things that you work out one time.
Yeah,
This
okay.
happens to me every time.
If
I don't work out for a
single
while,
time.
I work out. And it doesn't
So
matter.
funny.
I get so sore.
So sore.
That I can't function.
Yep.
And then I just don't work out anymore because I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah,
And
because
it
then he's like
hurts.
walking up the stairs. He's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, babe, that's why you like start like slower, you know, and that's
Take
the
it
thing.
light at first.
Right. It's like that person who,
Stack it.
you know, and I mean, some people thrive in extremes. They're like sitting on the couch right now. They're like, I'm going to run a marathon in a month. And some
Yeah,
people
that
thrive in
was me.
those extremes. But for the most part, like extremes are not where we thrive. Like the consistency. This is where that whole journey started.
Yes. This is where the whole thing started
But
with the marathon.
consistency is really what keeps you going. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it doesn't mean you won't have little hiccups, but it's not quitting when you haven't done it. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like, okay, so you wake up and it's been a week and you haven't done what you said. Instead of being so hard on yourself and being like, fine, you know what? I just give up. Just get back into it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the thing is sometimes we are so hard on ourselves and we don't give ourselves any grace.
Yeah.
But we give others grace.
Yeah.
You know, and one thing that actually my mom's been asking me this question, and she said it's been helpful for her is someone asked her, what would you tell a friend? Like if you were, you know, like what would you tell a friend? Like when you're struggling with something, you know, what would you tell a friend? And we would say like, hey, get back up. You can do it. Like, hey, I'll do it with you. But
sure.
we don't give ourselves that. We're like, you suck. And how dare you miss a workout? Maybe that's just in myself. But
Yeah.
I have noticed that over the last couple years, I've just learned to give myself a lot more grace and breathe a little bit, which has actually, I think, kept me more consistent.
Yeah.
Because when I mess up, I just go, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. This was not always my thing. But so identify it all the way down to the action steps, you know, and maybe that's, so then opposite, and I'll ask you this, like, so say they're like, hey, it's not necessarily that I want to accomplish this, but I really want to stop this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really struggle with insecurity and how I want to stop being this insecure, or I want to stop maybe a bad habit they have. So what would you say if it's that? Like,
Well,
you can talk if not.
no, I'll talk as much as I can.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, when it's a habit or something that you're trying to get rid of, I think from what I've seen people do and myself, I've learned to go, okay, anytime that bad habit or whatever it is comes up and I feel like I want to do it, I always would tell people the best thing for you to do is to literally run the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I say literally, and because I want you to physically run from that thing.
Yeah.
Because when you physically run from it, you're not just putting a thought in your head of don't do it, but you're physically doing something to not do it. And so let's say, you want to stop drinking soda in 2024, right? It's one of those things like the best thing for you to do is not buy it, right?
Well, yeah.
Don't buy the soda. When you're at the grocery store and you see that soda and it's
Don't go down
calling-
that aisle.
Yeah, it's calling your name. Literally, just walk away from that aisle. Don't even make eye contact with the soda, because what's going to happen is you're going to look at it, and all of a sudden, all of these thoughts and the way it tastes and the way it bubbles down your throat, and just everything that you can think of, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's so refreshing. I want one so bad right now. And you just need to go, I'm not going to even position myself to have that soda.
Yeah.
And so no matter what it is, whether it's something super deep or something super chill, just run from it.
Yeah.
And
So how
run
would
the,
you
run the
do
opposite
that
direction.
when it's more of like something internal? So like say,
Like insecurity.
yeah,
Okay. So like insecurity,
because you can't necessarily run away from
yeah,
yourself.
but you can physically do something. You can physically say the positive. So we always tell, even like with our kids, like
Yeah.
when our kids are being so negative and the woe is me is the world, and they start talking about all this stuff, I want them to, and I make them say 3 things that they're grateful for, or 3 things that that are positive about themselves,
Yeah.
or so physically saying, I am amazing, and just
I'm
find
amazing.
what do you love about yourself, and just say those things so that you can become somebody who combats negativity or insecurity with the things that are good,
Yeah.
the positive things. It's a brain switch
Yeah.
on your thought process. And, the thoughts might come all the time,
Yeah.
but when they do, you have to switch your brain to, and I think, I forget what book it was. Is it Dr. Caroline Leaf, where they talk about literally just turning on your brain when it comes to this kind of insecurity or negativity. When you start talking about and
Yeah.
saying physically the things that you are grateful for, it works the same side of your brain, but it turns something else on that makes you be more aware of the positive things in
Yeah.
your life. And
Yep.
so if you're insecure, you have a lot of negativity, and those are the things you want to kill. Man, kill it with gratitude.
Yeah.
And so look at your spouse and be like, I am so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for this situation, whatever it is, and start to call out physically those things.
Yeah.
And so whether it's physical, whether it's in your mind, like there are ways to still run from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, with your brain, you'd be amazed. And that's the thing, is I think even with that, like more of that inner work, we want to go from here to up here. And again, I will tell you, with someone who's done a lot, it's just that's not the way the journey looks. But you'd be amazed if you said, okay, for the next, and maybe don't say the whole year. I think that's the other thing, is we get defeated because we go, oh, this year, and a year is a long time. So it's like, break it up. You know what I mean? Like, okay, so in January, I'm going to do this, and then measure what that looked like, but you'd be amazed how your brain actually does change. And there's so much science behind this. This is not an episode about that, but I can also recommend lots of books that I've read, but the chemistry of your brain can change. And when you start changing the way you're talking to yourself, the way you're allowing yourself to like think upon things, you will change your mind. And
Yeah.
it's an incredible thing that is God's design for us to be able to change
true.
the way that our brain is thinking. But yeah, so, just because obviously we've talked about a lot of things with this, but just being able to measure it in smaller doses, I think is often helpful.
Yeah.
And then give yourself, like, I think we, like that false humility, like we never want to give ourselves any credit. We're like, no, like, oh, but
Yeah.
it's like, celebrate your wins.
Celebrate your wins.
Like, gosh, wow, you know what? I just like say like, I haven't been very negative this week. Like, wow, I've been really grateful today. Maybe it's today. Maybe it's hour by hour. Like maybe you're in a
Yeah.
place where you're like, it's got to be like minute by minute.
Yeah.
So stack on that. It's minute by minute, becomes hour by hour, becomes day by day, becomes, you get it, week by week, month, into a year. And that is how real change really progresses, because it's little growth that becomes big growth. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's very rare that something starts small and gets big really fast. And I would also warn that oftentimes when that does happen, the foundation isn't there to maintain that, exponential growth.
Yeah.
But when you have small growth or small change, it's amazing because it's like the foundation is also built so that you can actually keep that growth and change. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because we talk about this a lot with our marriage and our relationship. I wish we could sit down and say, this is the magic pill or the perfect, like, what's the word? If you do this, this, and this, you'll have a perfect
Formula.
yes, there you go. Thank you. Marriage. Or formula, you'll have the perfect marriage. I wish we had that. Man,
Yeah.
we'd be like bajillionaires. If
Yeah,
you do this,
for
this,
sure.
and this, your marriage will be perfect. But I think what we've identified is that we have been consistent in our marriage and had little growth and just over all of these years, and
Yep.
it just stacks, and we just continually grow and continually love each other. So it's not like it's this magical formula, but it's these little things that we've done over these years, as little as Julian making coffee for me every night, and it's like, that sounds so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Julian makes coffee for me every night. But it's like these little wins just stack and stack and stack and stack and stack to make something beautiful,
Yeah.
and we want the magic formula. We want to just be like, if I just do this, this will be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's just,
It's not
unfortunately
reality.
not the reality.
And no matter what, you can be doing all the steps in the world.
Yeah.
And you can see a lot of progress, but you're
Yeah.
going to have setbacks. You're
Oh,
going to have moments
of
where you're like,
course.
whoa,
isn't what
who
I
is
thought I
this
was gonna-
person? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens all the time.
All the time.
And that's okay. Like, you can't you can't let that outweigh every other win.
No,
You can't let the bad or the negative things
Yep.
that happen in your life
Yep.
outweigh the many wins that you had.
Yeah.
And that's, our brains naturally
Oh, yeah.
gravitate to drama and negativity.
Yeah.
And so focus on the positive, focus on the wins, focus on those things that you did succeed at, and celebrate the heck out of them. One of our mentors back in the day, and this kind of just, I think it flows into everything in your life, but one time she tried to give me something, and I was like, no, I can't take that from you. Like, that's not okay. And she looked at me, she said, don't you ever take away my blessing. Right. And I remember since then, like, if someone wants to give me something, I just embrace it. And
Oh, he loves
I'm
it.
very grateful. And yeah, I used to be like, no.
Yeah.
But now it's like, if they offer something, I always go, are you sure? Thank you so much. I am so grateful. And my attitude has changed. So even like in marriage, like when your spouse is showing you love and, being gracious with you and doing all those things, just accept it and take it in and embrace it and do that for each other. And the more you do that, the more that your marriage and your relationship is going to grow, because you're going to be able to accept each other's offerings for each other and grow with each other.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, so as you're looking into, it's always a time of reflection, during, I feel like at the end of the year, like you just start to reflect and like, what has this year been like? And what do I want next year to look like? One, I would say, of course, identifying what you want next year, be gracious to yourself if maybe 2023 didn't exactly go how you thought it would, but what do you want your marriage to look like in a year from now? Like, really take the time to look at that. What do I want my marriage to look like? Come together with your spouse. Like, what do we want our marriage to look like? What do we not want to bring into 2023? What baggage or something that happened, what do we not want to bring with us, that we've been carrying around? And maybe that's, maybe it's something really, really deep, and you come together and you go, hey, you know what? I know this has been really weighing on us and we still talk a lot about it, but in 2024, I think it's really time for us to move on from this and really grow forward, And so I would say, what does that look like? That's the question. I'm proposing a question. What is it that you want it to look like 2024? When you sit down December 2024 and we have the same conversation with you again, are you going to be able to say, hey, I actually made the changes I wanted to make or worked towards it? So I would say, what does that look like? What are the things? And then 2, start to say, how are you going to reverse engineer these things? Maybe it's month by month. Okay, this is what we're going to do. January is going to look like this. And then work it even down to the smaller, maybe it's, okay, a date night a month. Okay, what night of the week is it going to be? Who's going to be the babysitter? Lock it all in now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before you get into next year. Because life is going to come. It always does. And it's not going to slow down.
Yep.
That's just the bottom line. We always
Not at
like,
all.
it'll slow down, but it doesn't, So that's the thing, is what do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
And then really start working towards that, and don't allow yourself to get defeated. You're going to have setbacks, but I always say, like, look at a setback as an opportunity for a comeback. Like setbacks are just a great way to position yourself to make a comeback, and sometimes now, because I've seen the faithfulness of God so many times, when I am in a setback, I will even kind of be like, okay,
Okay, God.
like, I'm excited to see
What happens.
because I know that every setback is an opportunity for a comeback.
Yeah.
And sometimes those comebacks are so much bigger and better than I could have even imagined. And so it's just like, now I almost look at them as, I'm more
Yeah.
inclined to be like, okay, this is an opportunity and not allow it to be so defeating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's really good.
anything else?
No.
I'm trying to think
That was
of,
amazing.
there was another thing I wanted to say, but I can't remember what it is.
That's okay. We'll save it for the next
I know.
one. Okay. Here we go.
So I wanted to, just real quick, because I know you have a lot to do, and I got to finish some Christmas shopping, but what is coming? Money?
Spending that money, baby.
No, I try to be really careful. But for 2024, I'm really excited because we've been working on a couple different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to give kind of like an idea so people kind of know what's coming and can kind of be prepared for it.
Okay.
And also be like, one, I would say get on our email list because we're going to get really good at sending out emails. And that's where we're going to be launching a lot of things is in our emails.
Yep.
And then we've been talking a lot about this. I'm just going to throw it out there because, accountability. But we really want to start a mastermind, marriage mastermind. And really what it's going to be is, I haven't really quite nailed this down. So I'm throwing it out there before I've really, this is live. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know what
planning.
you're going to say right now. This is great.
But really getting back to us, we really not just us, but really want to be able to help couples kind of get through the mud of feeling like, man, we just can't seem to get to this good place and really work through that with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so that's something we're working on. Plus we also will be launching probably you can be able to download these. They'll be free, but they're prayer guides for husbands and for wives so that you can start the new year. If that's something you want to do, be able to pray for your spouse, like a guide of okay, I don't really know what to pray. And so, I don't know. What else? Anything else?
No, that's great. I love it.
Okay.
So be on the lookout for that. Get on the email list. We'll put a link below. That way you can get on the email list real quick.
Playing footsie.
And then
I'm nervous.
You're so silly. But get on the email list. Make sure you subscribe to everything that we do. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all those places. We would love for you to join the family. And as we continue to grow and put out great content to help you have a thriving marriage. All right. We'll see you guys next week.